I'm sorry, I didn't want to do it. You didn't fucking do it. And it's called, You Blundering Idiot, You Fucking Failed to Kill Me Again! Okay. The macro being had heard about the planet, had heard terrible, appalling stories of conditions there. Out of curiosity and some awesome, unimaginable cosmic variation of pity, it descended through many levels, through layers of laws, through dimension after dimension, down to a mere 3 dimensions from within the 4th, to see this world for itself, to see if the story was true. The others had thought there must be some good and sufficient reason this planet was so polluted, so verminous, so pestilential, so dominated by brutality and predation. Guess which planet I mean. But the macro being wasn't convinced. It wasn't so sure at all that this horror, the planet Earth, should be allowed to continue as before. It wasn't just the dominant race. The lower animals, too, lived mostly by preying on one another, actually eating one another, as if that were normal in the bigger universe. It seemed cruel to allow it to go on. Samuel Masterson Hellick figured that Stubbs Grunauer was the man for the job. Grunauer was bulky and strong and indifferent to the feelings of others out of an innate happy-go-lucky stupidity, like a rhino stepping heedlessly on a bird. And he'd do anything for money that didn't require real sweat-breaking work or thinking. And he never thought about consequences, so he wouldn't worry about legality. Grunauer had been quite surprised the time he was arrested for breaking into a supermarket at night and cooking a steak on the concrete floor in the back room, where he piled up a bunch of charcoal taken from the sacks at the front of the store. When the cops came in, alerted by several alarms, Grunauer was just sitting there, drinking cheap vodka from a bottle, though he could just as easily have taken the good stuff off the shelves, and watching his steak sizzle directly on the coals. What? I was fucking hungry, dude! So Hellick figured that $200 would be enough to induce Grunauer to kill him, to effectuate his suicide, even though Grunauer was only 3 days out of jail. A big man with a slack mouth and perpetual halitosis, his dishwater hair cut in the shape of a bowl around his pimply forehead, Grunauer was wearing a black and silver Oakland Raiders shirt, a size too small for him, so that his gut slopped out under it, that drizzly July day in Fremont, California. Supposed to be sun out in July, Grunauer observed as Hellick came into the weedy, jumped-up backyard of Grunauer's white cracker box house. Actually, it was the house of Grunauer's long-suffering mother. Grunauer was standing there in the drizzle, in his sagging jeans and rotting tennis shoes, gaping up at the sky, a 40 of Old English in his right hand. You keep standing like that, Grunauer, Hellick observed. Eventually, you're going to drown. Grunauer drank some beer and looked at Hellick. He didn't seem surprised to see Hellick here in his backyard, though they hadn't seen each other since high school. Hellick's thatchy blonde hair had receded to just above his ears, marking the passage of years, but Grunauer behaved as if they'd seen each other at school that day. This fucking rain, man, Grunauer said. Hey, you bring any beer? I'm about out. Grunauer had been a linebacker in the school team. Hellick had played tight end. It was as if the 17 years since high school hadn't passed at all. Hellick had left the team because the coach wouldn't consider him when the quarterback opened up, typical in Hellick's view of the unfair hands dealt to him by life. The coach was prejudiced against him because of his obvious artistic gifts. Jocks always resented a genius. And then girls turned from him because, in all probability, they were intimidated by his spontaneous brilliance, and bosses firing him because his wit was too acerbic, his insight into their foibles too shatteringly incisive. Hellick could take no more of the world's persecution. He would punish all humanity by withdrawing from it, and afterwards, after his death, his poetry, his lyrics, the acoustic songs he put up online on YouTube would shine out would take the world by storm, and he would be appreciated like Van Gogh, like Poe, like Fred Smargenbarger. Well, not many knew about Fred Smargenbarger, but Hellick would never forget his immortal lines. I turned to survey the fruit of my squatting, how my crap shines in the moonlight. That's a Smargenbarger. Smargenbarger was a fellow, unsung genius in Hellick's view. Hellick looked round with distaste, seeing a dead cat half hidden by a tarp in one corner, also a rusting oil barrel, an old soft plastic kiddie pool, a rusting tire rim, a rusting wheelbarrow, several overgrown piles of bricks. Your bricks are missing their brack, said Hellick. Grenauer just stared at him. What had he expected? Wit was lost on the witless, but that made him perfect for the job, too stupid to think of getting arrested later if the cops came on him doing the deed. Grenauer, Hellick said, I want to hire you for $200. To do what? To kill me. And I'll pay you to kill me, and we'll do it right now. Okay, Grenauer said. My ma's been getting on me. I don't earn no money. I remember when I forgot to go to school that year. She said, you ain't gonna earn no money if you don't go to school. Only I never figured out where they paid you at school. Grenauer, shut up. If you want the $200, shut up. Now here's $100 of the money. He handed Grenauer 5 20s, half of what remained of his final unemployment check. It's the first half. You get the second 100 after. Grenauer blinked at him. You give it to me after I kill you? No. After I'm dead, look in my wallet. There's an address where the rest is under my bed. Wait, who'd you say you wanted me to kill? Me. You. No, but who? Me, you idiot! It's a suicide! I want to be dead. The world doesn't fucking deserve me. And I don't think I could bring myself to jump off a building or something. I'd lose my nerve. Somebody's gotta do it to me. Grenauer nodded 7 or 8 times, and then he nodded 3 times more. Then twice more. Okay, you bring a gun? No, I looked into that. It's really hard to buy a gun legally. It takes weeks. I've got to get this done while I'm psyched to do it. And I already sent the letters to the papers and editors, and everyone with samples of my poetry and tapes of my songs and stuff. So it's got to be done. I tried to buy a gun on the street, but I couldn't find anybody I trusted not to pretend they were going to sell me a gun and just take the money. And well, since they'd have a gun and I wouldn't, so then they could rob me, so we're going to do it some other way. Well, how do you want me to kill you? Well, that old kiddie pool there. That's one of those little inflatable swimming pools, right? Yeah, my mom found it some free stuff heap somewheres. He took another long pull at his beer. It's already half full of water. Just fill it in with a hose there and hold my head down in it. Okay. No. What? I don't mind doing the job of killing you, but filling it up is work, dude. Fuck it, I'll do it. Hellick found a hose, turned the water on, filled the blue and yellow plastic kiddie pool. There were pictures of SpongeBob mixed with some kind of dancing, grinning starfish around the side. SpongeBob and that starfish would witness his death and rejoice with him. There was a poem in that somewhere, but the time for poetry was past, except for the final poetic statement, his death. Hellick tossed the hose aside, knelt, and waved Grenauer over. Okay, come on, hold my head down in here till I drown. Okay, yeah, sure. The money's in your wallet. It's at my house. Address in my wallet. Come on, let's get it done. Grenauer finished the Old English, tossed the bottle aside with a clunk, and sat on Hellick so that his face was smashed down into the water. Hellick immediately tried to cry out in protest. Somehow being crushed by Grenauer's ass lacked dignity as a way to die. But water filled his mouth and nose and rushed down into his lungs, and SpongeBob seemed to dance in front of him, wavering through the lens of the water as he drowned. And he reflected that, after all, drowning is drowning. Oh, but fuck, this really hurt. It hurt in his lungs. He hoped it would be over soon. It really, really hurt. It was too much. It hurt too much. He started flailing around to break free, and then that moron Grunauer stood up. Hellick sat up, spewing water, coughing, and heard a woman talking. The bent, little, white-haired, toothless woman in the stained shift who'd led him into the backyard, Grunauer's mother. I don't care what he's paying you. You sure as hell can't do that here. Now, Stubbs, get out of here with that. I don't want to know about it. Now leave the money here for me to take care of. Okay, Mom. Grunauer, Hellick managed to say between gasps. You idiot! You could have ignored her and finished the job. She hides the TV remote if I don't do what she says. Oh, for Christ. All right, come on, let's go somewhere else. Hellick's lungs still burned as they walked out through the gate, past the yammering old lady, neither one of them taking in what she was saying, and then down the street 2 blocks to the railroad tracks that ran through a district of mostly abandoned warehouses. They crossed the gravel strip to the tracks, and then Grunauer got an inspired look on his face and pointed. Oh, look, there's a big piece of metal like a crowbar. Them railroad guys must have lost it there. I could use that to bash you in. I'll put your head in the railroad tracks. Hellick grimaced, but then shrugged and said, oh, why not? It sounds reasonably quick. Just get it done fast, okay? Yeah. Hellick lay down on the gravel, head on the railing, right side down, and began singing one of his songs. I don't care if you don't know it. I know I'm a genius and the world doesn't deserve me. I know it because the rats tell it to the cockroaches who told it to me. So fuck you all, fuck you all, fuck you all! He broke off and looked sidelong up at Grunauer, who was towering over at him. Towering over him, a smelly silhouette. Grunauer, what are you waiting for? I was listening to your song. Just tell people you heard it and how great it was. Now do it, break my skull. Okay. Hellick closed his eyes, half inclined to run, but it was too late. He heard a whipping sound of something coming through the air, and then crack! Tremendous pain in his left ear. This is it, the end. Tremendous pain. Waves of pain on the left side of his head that didn't stop. It's just that one crack, and then he opened his eyes. Grunauer, shit, that hurts. Why'd you stop? Grunauer's voice sounded distorted through all the blood pooling in his ear. You ain't dead yet? No! My arm hurts. This fucking thing's heavy. Well, so? Hellick felt dizzy, removed, and dreamlike. You only hit me once. Now bust my fucking skull! Okay. Crack! Another blazing pain, this time on the side of his head above his ear. Ow, shit! Can't you hit straight? Kill me! I want some more beer, dude. Get it later! Come on, I paid you. Make like Nike and just fucking do it. The pain is agonizing. I want it to end. It's fucked up, Hellick. I don't like breaking open heads. It makes my stomach hurt. I like stabbing. Couldn't I stab you? With what? Oh, my fucking head. There's a big old rusty nail laying over here on this wood thing. It used to be old Gunky's shack. Whatever, just fucking get it done. I can't stand this. End it, stab me. Here, I'm turning on my back. Stab me in the chest. Stab me now. Stab me in the fucking chest right fucking now. I didn't pick up the nail yet. You moron! Wait, I got it, okay. Let me put that on this other thing, okay. Hey, there's old Gunky down there waving. Hey, maybe he's got some wine. Hey, dude, he let me have some wine when I was younger if I let him play with my Peter. You think he's got some wine? Will you fucking kill me, you cretin? I don't like to be called names. Whatever, dude. Okay. I'm kneeling down. Oh, kneeling on these rocks hurts my knees, dude. My fucking skull is cracked. right fucking now! Okay. Grunauer took the long rusty nail, the way a man holds an ice pick, and stabbed down right into Hellick's breastbone. Yo! That fucking hurts, you dumbass, dick-licking shithead! That's not my heart! I thought your heart was right there in the middle. Ain't that where our heart is, dude? We always put our hands over that spot when we was in grade school and they made us do the Pledge of Allegiance. No, fuck! Get it out of that bone in my chest. It's fucking killing me. I mean, it's not killing me. It's hurting me. Pry it out. It's stuck. It's stuck. It's fucking... Ow! Hellick reached up and pried the nail out of his breastbone himself and handed the nail up to Grunauer. Now, here. Stab it in my heart. My heart is right over here. See where I'm pointing? It's right fucking... Ow! What are you doing? You stabbed me in the hand! You said a stab where you were pointing. Your hand was... No, under my hand. Well, I can't get under your hand because it's in the way, dude. Now your hand is nailed to your chest. It looks really cool. It's cool. It's stuck on your chest. The nail went right through. Ow! Hellick pulled the nail out of his hand and chest, and his uninjured hand trembling so much he could barely hold on to the nail, he handed it again to Grunauer. Will you just get it over with? Stab me in that same hole, but deeper. Between the ribs, right into my heart. Right there? Okay. Grunauer stabbed, but the nail glanced off a rib, cracking it. Oh, fuck! That piss, that fucking hurts! You said right there. I said between the ribs. You can see where the ribs are. It's a little slippy with blood and shit. I can't hang with all that blood. Try fucking again. Okay. Grunauer clamped his tongue between his crusty teeth, closed one eye, and aiming carefully, stabbed down. But the nail only stuck out under his fist an inch or so, and it didn't go quite deep enough to penetrate Hellick's heart, only to scratch the outside of his heart, painfully. Yeah, you fucking idiot! Invisible and all-encompassing, and vast but subtle, the macro being had surveyed most of the planet Earth, had paused in several places, in Darfur, parts of India, parts of Florida, a concentration camp in North Korea, hundreds of thousands of old people's homes and hospices, and was still uncertain. On the one hand, Earth seemed to cry out for a compassionate veterinary putting down. But on the other hand, it seemed to the macro being that though indeed these creatures at best lived lives of quiet existential confusion and misery, and at worst lived with great suffering, there were also positive redemptive feelings and events and ideas, and maybe this world should be allowed to go on so that these creatures could evolve. And then the macro being noticed a spike of suffering in a part of California called Fremont, and it glanced down to see Grunauer trying to kill Hellick, and all the time Hellick begging him to do it, and the macro being watched them in sickened fascination for a while. You have to what, Hellick? Stab. I don't know what you're saying, you're not talking English. Stab me in the heart, you idiot! Push it in and oh fuck! Hellick had to pause to turn over and vomit up his meager breakfast. This took a while. Finally, he flopped onto his back with a groan, pushed the nail in, and then hammer it in. Use that tool. Okay. Grunauer shoved the nail in, then got the bar of iron and started to hammer at the nail with it, but aimed badly and the nail went to the side and jammed in the tissue under Hellick's pectoral over the heart. Yeah, that hurts! You missed, you fucking moron! Oh. Yeah. Hellick, a train's coming. You could jump in front of it. No, I can't do it myself. I'm too fucked up. You gotta throw me in front of it. Pick me up. I'm small, you're strong. Pick me up. Please. Okay. Grenauer picked Helen up in his arms and moved from the tracks and waited, and in a moment the freight train came barreling metallically along, screaming with its horn, and Grenauer got close to the train and tossed Hellick between two brown freight cars. And only if he had done it carefully. Hellick didn't quite go in, but got stuck with his arm between the car and the metal wheel and was dragged along, his backbone twisting around, his arm twisting right off with a pop. And then the train was gone, and Hellick was left there in a bloody, wretched, semi-human pile next to the tracks, groaning and alive. You ain't dead, dude? Your family coming again! Hellick cried, though it was difficult to see where his mouth was in the knotted up wreckage of him. Okay, sorry. I guess that's half of the killing anyway. You can keep the other half of the money, I gotta go. My mom's gonna make me something to eat. What? You fucking stay here and kill me? Just get a big rock or jump on my head. I can't. I think I hear the police coming. You better fucking kill me or I'll tell them you hurt me without being paid to. Now damn it, kill me! No, well, I don't know exactly. I mean, what should I do? Watching Hellick and Grenauer, the macro being had had enough. These two seemed to sum up this world in a general way. And contemplating them, it was the final straw. It was the turning point. The macro being made up its mind. Pity got the best of it. The macro being decided to put this planet out of its misery. So the vast, amorphous creature stretched out its energy field and encompassed the whole planet Earth, enclosing it like a small animal enclosed in a man's fist, and it squeezed. And in just under 93 seconds, the entire Earth was wiped clean of life. Painlessly and entirely, it was all gone. All organisms, even plants. The macro being liked to be thorough. Even microorganisms wiped out. And since there were no microorganisms left after it was done, there was no significant decay as such. And all the organisms in the world simply stopped moving and stopped living, and sometime later, each one fell into a nice dry heap of dust. Afterwards, macro beings would sometimes visit the lifeless planet, simply because it was so very peaceful there now. Thank you. That story will be in a magazine. I mean, who else would take it but Swill magazine? I didn't even send it anywhere else. I mean, would the magazine of fantasy and science fiction take that story? Bring a copy of Swill up here.
Relax. This music department. How much is too much?